Hey guys, Amanda here at Bare Bones Living, and welcome back to my garden. I wanted to show you guys the progress that I had on, I had told you before that we were rebuilding our patio garden, and that has been done. And then we also added another garden behind it that I am making my pollinator garden. And since pollinators are so important, basically for everything, they pollinate flowers. They pollinate the flowers on our tomato plants, on our pepper plants. They do lots for us, and with people spraying things and there's not much pollen available for them, and people just kill bees because they don't like them, which I totally understand because they sting, or they can sting, but they are extremely important. And so I wanted to make a garden that could attract more pollinators into my garden, into my yard, and help them grow their colonies and things like that to bring back to their queen, but also to pollinate my fruits and vegetables that I have growing here. So let me show you what we have going on. So this is the new pollinator garden, and as you can see, it's just, right off the back of the new garden bed there. It just goes around there. And I am starting to fill this whole area in with good plants for pollinators and also for us. So I'll show you what we got going here. And I've just recently acquired some of these things, such as this plant here. This is my comfrey plant. This is a great plant that I plan on using to make comfrey salve, and that's really good for like muscle healing or bruising. It's a really great healing salve, but different from the calendula salve that I have. That's more for like skin irritation and inflammation. This is more for like muscle pains and strains and bruises and aches and pains. So I picked this up from another gardener. So I'm really excited about this. I have some dried organic comfrey that I ordered that I'll be using to make that. But then once this really establishes and gets going, I can't wait to start actually harvesting my own comfrey. And this is a frost hardy plant. This will come back year after year, even in our cold winters. So I'm really excited about seeing that grow. And then this here is, you may remember, is my lemon balm plant. This is what you guys saw me pull out of my transplanting established plants video. So you can see here that it is much larger than it was when I pulled it out of my garden bed before I had the garden bed rebuilt. And I'll also show you guys right here. I'll put a little clip of when I actually took this out of the pot that I had it growing in. The root system on this thing was ridiculous. Okay, you guys, I just gotta show you this. This is that lemon balm that I dug out of my garden, and I'm transplanting it into my new garden bed. And I had to show you this root ball. It was in, here we go. It was in this fairly big container, and it completely filled in that whole container with roots. Check this out. It is so big. It is a beast. It actually grew through the bottom. I couldn't believe it. I just had to show that to you before I planted it. And then next to it here is, I actually have calendula plants, and these are orange button calendula. So these are just starts. I started these from seed indoors, and I just got them transplanted out finally. They'll bush up and grow into bigger plants, and then they'll actually have little button orange calendula flowers. So I'm really excited to see those take off. And again, I'll be making my salves out of these calendula petals once they start going, instead of the calendula that I had to get dried that I ordered. And then back here, this is bee balm, which I have not grown before, but I'm really excited. I'm not really sure how big these are gonna grow, but this is gonna grow, I think they're blue or purple, a bluish purple flower, and they're really good for bees. So we'll see how those take off, and I'm gonna actually transplant some of these because they also do really well in shade or part shade. And my front yard is pretty shady, and I don't have many flowers out there. So I'm gonna actually transplant some of those out there too. And then just next door to the calendula, this is my echinacea plant, which you can see is growing very tall. And you saw this again in my transplanting established plants video. But you can see here that it's about to blossom. And this is my second year growing this, but I did not know before. I've recently found out that echinacea takes a year to echinacea, and then on the second year is when you get blossoms. So I'm really excited about those. Echinacea is medicinal, and then it has really pink, pretty cone flowers on it. And then the seeds on there are really good for goldfinch and other birds. So that'll be fun and exciting. So we'll see how that turns out. And then here I have borage, which I planted last year, and it did really great, and the bees absolutely loved it. It also self-seeds really nicely. I had it over in that corner last year, and some started coming up this year, and then when they rebuilt this whole garden bed, that got dug up. But so that'll be really nice that this will just keep reseeding itself. And this grew really nice and big, full plants. It was always full of pollinators, and it had really pretty, and it's also edible too. The flowers are edible on them, but they're like star-shaped blue flowers. So those are really nice. And then I have over here my big chamomile patch that I have growing here that I've already seen quite a few little bees on, and I'm excited to see. Now this was just sitting in a pot, so it was kind of stuck to only getting as big as the pot would allow it to, but now this will definitely reseed. I'm gonna actually harvest all of these flowers, even though they're gorgeous. But I want this plant to, since I just transplanted it, I really want it to reestablish its root system and just make this a bigger, bushier plant. And that'll just encourage more blossoms anyway. So this is gonna be a nice big, this will fill all this out. So as you can see, I have still quite a few open blank spots back here and over here, and around the front of this echinacea. I don't really know how big all of this is going to get, and I also still want to be able to walk back along here if I need to grab tomatoes from this trellis that I can't reach from the other side. But I just picked up some fun pollinators for monarchs. This is swamp milkweed, a variety of milkweed that I'm not familiar with, but we'll learn together. And I guess it has a nice pink flower to it. So I'm gonna plant a couple back here, and again, she said it was okay in partial shade, so I think I'm gonna put a couple up front too. I'm gonna plant a couple of those, and then I also got a bronze fennel, and this is good for swallowtail butterflies. So I'm gonna get those into the garden and see if we can't get some new friends and get them to come and lay their eggs and watch their growth, because I think that would be quite fun, especially for the boys to watch. So I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put 3 in this garden, and then I'll put 3 up front. So I'm gonna put 2 back behind the borage here. And what I'll do here is I'll just clear away the straw. And then I'll just dig right in here, set it in, and then cover it back around. And then I'll put probably another one right about here and keep them a little bit separated, 1.5 feet. Maybe I'll move it just a slightly over. And I've never grown milkweed before, but this particular variety apparently does not have very deep root system, unlike common milkweed that has a taproot. Swamp milkweed does not. So it should transplant really easily here. And I think I'm just gonna put it right here because I don't want it too close to the echinacea. Well, this one has a much better root system on it. But it's a bigger plant too, so that makes sense. And I think I'm going to put one more up in front to the left of the echinacea. So I planted one of the swamp milkweed right there, and the other two are there and like right there, and then right there is the bronze fennel. So we'll see how those go. And then I have 3 more of the milkweed that I'm gonna put up front, and I also have more of the bee balm that I'm gonna put out front to help our friends. And then we also got fresh sod placed. I don't know if you noticed before, but this was wood chips before. So we got this regraded, and there's a little kind of divot in the middle to help with water drainage, and sodded, so we have to water it twice a day for the next couple weeks. So it's actually been working out quite nicely because I have freshly planted everything. So all this will get a nice watering this evening after the sun is completely gone, so I don't scorch anything. And this is gonna just fill out really nicely, and I'm really excited to see all the pollinators that it brings and the great treasures that it gives us. Thank you guys for stopping by today and joining in on our journey here at Bare Bones Living. We'll catch you on the next one.